Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Kristine, and in today's video, I will be talking about living in New Jersey versus living in North Carolina. So in the past, I have made a video about living in New Jersey versus living in New York, and if you want to check that out, I will link it in the description box below. So if you like this video, give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, follow me on my Instagram and my other social media accounts, and let's get to it. So first off, I want to talk about how I have been a Jersey girl for most of my life. I was born and raised in Jersey, and I have lived there for, in fact, 27 years. I just turned 28 this month, and 2 months ago, I moved to Charlotte, North Carolina with my boyfriend. Now, I'm going to talk about living in New Jersey and living in North Carolina, mostly based on my experiences. Obviously, I have a lot more experience living in New Jersey because I've lived, in many different towns in New Jersey, mostly in northern New Jersey. So every town I've lived in was pretty much like 30 minutes away from New York City. So I was not in South Jersey. I was not near the Jersey Shore. And 2 months ago, I moved to Charlotte, North Carolina. And little did I know, Charlotte, North Carolina is actually very, very big. It probably takes about, I would say, 45 minutes or an hour plus to go from one side to the other. That is how big it is. And I did not know that until I moved here. So the first thing I'm going to talk about today is housing expenses. So housing expenses is a big reason why I decided to move to Charlotte. So as some of you guys know, I bought a 2-family house in New Jersey to house hack about 2.5 years ago, right when I graduated from physical therapy school. And at the time, the market was pretty hot because it was still kind of COVID time and there was a lot of competition, but interest rates were super low, which caused bidding wars and house prices to slowly go up. And since then, I can happily say that house prices have appreciated, which have benefited me in that house. But unfortunately, it has also made it hard to continue investing and buying houses in that area and in that market. So that turned me into looking into Charlotte, North Carolina. I visited Charlotte, North Carolina in December before buying the property, and I loved it. During that visit, I looked at many different houses, and I've concluded that the houses here are way more reasonably priced and the house prices are just better. It's not as high as in New Jersey. Another thing I will note though is in New Jersey, like I said, I was pretty close to New York City, so the house prices up north were a lot higher than probably if you go south, closer to Central Jersey or South Jersey. So just in the area that I lived and I liked to invest in, the house prices were pretty high. So moving on to my next point, kind of ties into the house prices, cost of living. So another reason that drew me to Charlotte, North Carolina was the cost of living. It was just getting really expensive living in New Jersey. The prices there were kind of New York City prices, being that it was so close. And oftentimes, if you live in New Jersey, you also spend a lot of time in New York City since where I lived in New Jersey, it was just a 10-minute bus ride to New York. So, you'd go there for dinner. If you wanted to go there for like a Friday night out, you go to Bryant Park, Central Park. Sometimes I would get massages there, or even before, I used to work in New York City. So I obviously spent a lot of time there. If I wanted to get my eyebrows done or hang out with friends, I would do it in the city. Also, just if you're in northern New Jersey, the prices are still pretty expensive. So I guess that's just what you get for being so close to New York City. In New Jersey, the cost of living is pretty high. In comparison, Charlotte, North Carolina definitely has a better cost of living. The prices here are definitely lower. Taxes are lower. The one thing, though, I will say from my experience, or the two things from my experience that are not as inexpensive, are my nails and my eyebrows. It is actually interesting that it is more expensive for me to get my nails and my eyebrows done in Charlotte versus in New Jersey. So I found that interesting. In New Jersey, I would probably pay like $30 without tip for my gel manicure, and I did that like every few weeks. And here, to get the same gel manicure, it cost starting at $35 to $40. And then on tip on top of that. Also, my eyebrows are more expensive to get done here, which were the two main things that I would pay for on a regular basis. But groceries are cheaper in Charlotte, North Carolina overall. Gas is cheaper. When you go out to eat, it's cheaper. So overall, yes, cost of living is cheaper in Charlotte, North Carolina. The next point is parking. So as I discussed in my video comparing New Jersey and New York, New Jersey definitely has, good parking overall. So where I lived, since it was so close to New York, there were certain parts of northern New Jersey where there was not a lot of parking, such as Hoboken, Jersey City, North Bergen, Weehawken. Some of those towns, it'll definitely be more challenging to find parking. There's a lot of, it's very densely populated. There's a lot of people, a lot of businesses, a lot of houses, all very close by to each other. But where I lived in particular, I made sure there was a driveway, there was plenty of street parking. And as you go farther away from New York City, more south, parking is not even a problem. There's plenty of parking, there's a ton of space, and that's that. So similar to that, there's also plenty of parking in Charlotte, North Carolina, but it definitely depends on where you are. I am kind of almost on the outskirts of Charlotte, so it's very suburban. There's a lot of land, there's a lot of space. So we have a ton of parking in the driveway. The only thing is the streets are a little bit narrow. So if you want to park, you kind of have to park half on the dirt/grass and then half on the street to make sure that there's just a lot of space and your car isn't in the way of, anyone who wants to go in and out of the street. That being said, if you go to different parts of Charlotte that are closer to uptown/downtown or, the other towns that are closer to the city center, then there's not going to be as much parking. But overall, there's always pretty much been plenty of parking, and, it's not anywhere close to, the parking in New Jersey that I've experienced, where sometimes you can't find parking depending on where you are. So another thing is transportation. So in New Jersey, there was a lot of public transportation. The systems were developed. There was many different options for people that wanted to commute, not by taking a car. So I used to work in New York City and I used to work in New Jersey. So I've commuted using the PATH train that is kind of like an underground subway that takes you from New Jersey to New York. And I've also used the New Jersey Transit bus that really quickly takes you from New Jersey to New York, through the George Washington Bridge or the Lincoln Tunnel, one of those ways. The New Jersey Transit bus that takes you from, one town to the other in New Jersey. You can pretty much get anywhere either via the bus or the train, or there's a light rail in some towns. There's just many different transportation options. Have actually never used public transportation in Charlotte, and I can say that there is definitely not as many options here. Just from what I've seen, I know that there is a light rail near UNC Charlotte area. I guess is like for the students and those people that live there to get from, things that are near that area, but I don't personally know where they go. I've never taken it. I've never really seen it that far. And besides that, I commute every single day for work around Charlotte, and I barely see any public transportation buses. I've probably only seen like one or two the time that I've been here. Mostly I've seen school buses, so they definitely have a lot of school buses for the kids, but they are still working on their public transportation system, I would say. So in terms of things to do, I can say that there are definitely a lot of things to do in both places, both New Jersey and in Charlotte. In New Jersey, I have lived there for so long, and there's just so many things to do, whether you want to go into New York City, whether you want to drive down to the beach, if you want to go to the ocean, go swimming, go to a lake, or if you want to go hiking at a mountain or go dining, watch a show. There's just so many options, and there's just a lot to do. And Charlotte, I can also say that there's a lot of things to do. Being that I've only lived here for 2 months, I haven't really been able to experience everything, but I know that there is a lot of things to do because there's, Lake Norman, there's mountains. I went to Asheville the other weekend, which was pretty cool. It was only like 2.5 hours drive away. And even in Charlotte, there's so many cool towns. There's Noda, there's South End, there's Uptown. There's just a lot of things to do in both places. So the weather. So the weather in New Jersey, as you know, there are 4 seasons, but from living there, I can say that winter was the predominant one. It pretty much took like 75% of the year. And I just remember it was really, really cold. Sometimes feel seasonal depression every year because winter just never ended and it was just cold and you couldn't really go out and do things because of how cold it was. One of the reasons why I really like Charlotte so far is because it is really temperate. It kind of feels like you're in California a little bit because oftentimes it'll be 70 degrees. Like even during the winter, there'll be a 70-degree week. And in the spring, oftentimes it's 70 degrees. Right now it's March, so it's about 60, 70s. But as it gets closer to April, I think 70s is the more normal range. Whereas in New Jersey, it still feels like winter in April. So I really like the weather in Charlotte so far. So another thing I want to talk to you guys about is the people. I am excited to say that Southern hospitality is definitely a real thing. I get surprised by how polite people are here. They're so respectful, so friendly, and it's definitely something I'm not used to. But being that I'm pretty friendly, for the most part, I'm pretty friendly as well. So it's really nice. Everyone that I work with or I'll see like a random person at a building that I'm working at, and they'll just greet you and say hello. Oftentimes people hold the door for you. They say ma'am. All the hospitality people, the service people are super, super polite, and you could tell that it's kind of more genuine and that they want to. In New Jersey and in New York, there was definitely a lot more, I would say, straightforward people. Sometimes you would get some rudeness, but most of all, I feel like people kept to themselves. If you go to the store, someone's not just going to greet you hello. They're kind of going to be on a mission or keep their head down or try not to talk to you. I guess that's just my experience. I'm not sure if everyone experiences that in New Jersey, but for the most part, people in Charlotte are definitely overall friendlier and nicer. So things in Charlotte are definitely farther away from each other compared to in New Jersey. So in New Jersey, from even where my house was, I was able to walk to a lot of things. From my house, I was able to walk to a bar. There was a CVS, a UPS, a grocery store, many different restaurants and dining options. A gas station was right down the street. Walmart was 3 minutes away. We were right off the highway. There was just a lot of convenience there just simply by walking. And with driving, you can get to most places within 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes. Of course, there was traffic, but being that everything was so close, you weren't really affected by the traffic unless you decided to go somewhere farther. In Charlotte, from my experience, the traffic is not as bad, but things are definitely farther away from each other. So you kind of have to plan your commute and plan your day a little bit more, especially if you want to go to many places at once. For example, Walmart is at least 15-20 minutes away from us without traffic. There's also a little plaza that's close to us, but it's like a 3-5 minute drive. Nothing really is in walking distance because we're kind of in like this little neighborhood. But, there's still a lot of things that are accessible to us. Chick-fil-A is, really close. There's a Bojangles. There's a Harris Teeter, which is a pretty popular grocery store. It's a little bit expensive though. But there's still a lot of things that are close by. Overall, things are more spaced out in Charlotte than in New Jersey from where I'm from. We are almost there. Another thing I'm going to talk about is jobs. So being a physical therapist, I had to find a new job when I moved to Charlotte, North Carolina. From my experience, I definitely had an easier time finding a job in New Jersey compared to in Charlotte. And I'm not sure if it's just because I'm a little bit more picky and particular at this point in my career, but I'm definitely having a more difficult time finding a job in Charlotte. From what I was told, one of the people that I work with said that there's a lot more physical therapists here, so there's not as much of a demand. Whereas in New Jersey, from where I worked, there was just always so many clients and not enough physical therapists. So a lot of us were just kind of working a lot and trying to compensate for that. But here, it seems to not be the case. For other fields and other careers, I'm not entirely sure, but I would assume that there are more job opportunities in New Jersey and New York because there's just a lot of different fields, a lot of different careers out there. Here, there's a lot of finance careers, there's a lot of medical careers, and there's a lot of developments happening. So a lot of people are coming here. There's a lot of job growth happening here too. But that is just my experience with that. So the last thing I want to talk to you guys today about is family and friends. So being that I was born and raised in New Jersey, my family is from there. I have a lot of friends from there. I went to college there, so I have my college friends there, even some friends that I knew before that. So it's definitely different because in Charlotte, North Carolina, I only really have my boyfriend and my cats. You know, I have some acquaintances. I know my real estate agent. I made some investor connections from going to meetups and social media. But besides that, I can't really say I have like a group here or friends that I regularly hang out with like I did back in New Jersey. So it's definitely different in that sense, because sometimes back in New Jersey, my boyfriend and I would have so many plans that we would have to sometimes juggle multiple plans in one day, or, you kind of have to pick and choose so you're not overbooked. And, there was just a lot of things to do back in New Jersey, but it's definitely a lot more of a quiet lifestyle here. So that is a difference. And that is pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, if you enjoyed it, give this video a like, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!